What was your first landing on the boat in the Tomcat like? That must have been an experience and a half, Corky.
I remember carrier qualifications pretty well. By that time, you've gotten pretty good, but not great. And it's the first time you ever land on a carrier at night, because you've done, I think, 8 landings in T2 Buckeyes and like 10 landings in A4 Skyhawk. Those are all day landings in Key West. Now here you're going out, and I'm not sure what boat it was. It might have been the Enterprise, but you're going out for your first carrier qualification. Day is pretty interesting. You're when you come into the overhead for the first time in a new airplane, you're doing the carrier brake where you come over the ship and you turn left and smooth turn to downwind, put the wings out, gear down, flaps down, all that kind of stuff, and you're trying to get to a beam position, start your turn on time, and start the descent rate, all those technical things. But while that's all going on, your brain is just shrinking to the size of a pea, because the tension's getting more and more. So really all you have left is your training, what you've been rehearsing over and over and over and over again on land. You just kind of fall back into that. So there's not a whole lot of great technique. The real is just making sure you don't hit the back of the ship, and you cross the ramp during the day, and you just, trap, okay, I did it. And then it's just refining that a little bit. But your first CQ effort, you're going to do, I think it was 10 day and 4 nights, something like that. And you're going to do the day pretty well. You might get all 10 done in one day, maybe not, but then the night page comes, and that really separates, naval aviators from everybody else. Landing on the ship does, of course, but doing it at night is completely different. It's a very long straightaway. You've been practicing again. And I was pretty good at instrument flying. That was always a good skill set of mine. So I could get myself to a position at the back of the ship when they say 3/4 mile, call the ball. You're flying these little needles down that are showing you, your low, your high, your left, your right, that kind of thing. And you line those crosshairs up, and you're right in the middle where you're supposed to be, and you're flying, your appropriate descent rate. And then you simply transition from looking at the needles, then you look out at the boat, then you look back at the needles and back at the boat, and then you're flying the ball, which I'm sure you've heard about on the left side, which is the glide slope indicator, and you're trying to stay on center line. So if you're doing everything right, the corrections are really small. You're just kind of like doing this, kind of nudging things back and forth. If you're out to lunch, you're doing this, so you're going crazy, and you also can see it. But I remember my first night landings were fairly intense pucker factor, just because I'd done this in training, I've seen it a million times, but this is different now, because if I don't do it right, things are going to go really badly. But yeah, that was my first night.
Amazing, yeah. Must have been terrifying because of some of the stories I've heard in the past. But
Terrifying. Well, they do tell you they did those studies in Vietnam when they wired up all the pilots coming back from over North Vietnam, and the time their heart rate went the highest is when they were landing the ship. So
yeah,
it's more scary than combat in certain senses.